That right there is the 996 GT3 RS. It's one of the best and rarest water-cooled Rennsports you can buy. And in this video, we're going to find out exactly why. The story of the 996 GT3 RS is a fascinating one. We'll go into that a little bit later on in the video, including why the car was pretty much a sales flop when it came out in 2003, 2004. But for now, let's take a quick look around the spec. The important thing to remember with the 996 GT3 RS is this is the last narrow-bodied Rennsport ever. Again, another clue as to its age. No centre locks on this. Centre locks are ubiquitous on the GT platform. This is still old school, the good old-fashioned 5-bolt. Ceramics, optional. Then come to the back of the car. The GT3 RS has a revised wing over the GT3, of course. As you can see, beautiful carbon fibre, that lovely weave. Other bits and pieces in terms of lightweight savings over the GT3. Perspex rear window.
The 996 RS's lightweight treatment extended to further carbon fibre panels, badge stickers, as well as a pared back interior featuring a full roll cage, racing bucket seats and 6-point harnesses in keeping to that race ready theme. That huge wing was cup spec, as were the wheel carriers and modified suspension, including independently adjustable lower control arms and stiffer springs offering a much firmer ride. The front bumper also got exit vents for the first time.
One other thing before we get on the road, notice the blue stripes. And again, I mentioned these wheels earlier on. You can see a subtle nod to the iconic Fouche wheel with the 5-petal design. Then obviously the blue strip down the side, a white body with blue decals or white body with red decals. That should ring a bell to the Porsche historians among you. It's the same colourway, main colourways as the iconic 2.7 RS. The red stripes are more common than the blue. Of the 682 Rennsports worldwide of the 996, roughly 2/3 are red decals and 1/3 blue. As you can see then, this is perhaps the very first example of Porsche getting the very best out of the water-cooled 911 platform. And as we well know, it's become the blueprint really for the entire water-cooled Rennsport generation. On paper, the difference between a GT3 RS and the standard 996 GT3 was extremely minuscule. Think 1/10 off the 0 to 60 time, a similar top speed, just 20 kilos saved in weight and the same 381 horsepower engine. But the beauty of the 996 GT3 RS is not in its stats, but in its feel. Better hit the road. Funny, isn't it? Because those incremental changes, which on paper didn't add up to a lot, they are the key reason as to why Porsche only made 682 of these worldwide. It actually means it's the 3rd rarest water-cooled Rennsport behind the limited and numbered build production cars of the GT3 RS 4 litre and the 997 GT2 RS. Today, there are a lot of things going for the 996, which is quite detrimental to its value. One, of course, is build numbers. And the other is in terms of spec. This is the last GT3 RS that does without traction control or switchable mapping, no sports button, no PASM, no, nothing like that. This is the last GT3 RS where it really is just you, a set of pedals and a steering wheel. The chassis is tight, the steer is direct, but the car does move around a lot. It's a lively drive, and it is therefore a bit of a thinking man's Rennsport, particularly over the later stuff like the 991s. With the 996, it really does feel like a traditional 911. You can point it with your right foot, that it can catch you out. It simply doesn't benefit from the same amount of mechanical grip or downforce as the later cars. It does mean the chassis is a lot more playful, which is great, but you do have to know what you're doing with it. I love the feel of this car and also the feeling it gives me. The fact that when you stamp on the brakes, although they are very, very good and scrub speed effectively, you have to lean on them a little bit more than what you would in a 991 RS, for example. With this, although braking efficiency is excellent, they are ceramic, there's a lot more pedal travel. I like that. Braking is more progressive rather than the snap that you kind of get with 991s. The steering as well feels so alive. It's got quite a fierce geo setup on this, so it's tramlining quite a lot. So whilst it's a little bit more of a workout for me than usual to keep the car kind of pointing straight, it does mean that the nose of the Gt3 Rs feels so much more lively, so much more pointier. Yeah, good to go. The other thing, as I'm demonstrating here on an overtake, so much torque on this engine. Do need to talk about the engine actually, don't I? It's a Metzger, which is obviously hallowed in Porsche circles, but it's got genuine outright Le Mans winning pedigree because it's an engine that's derived from the Porsche GT1, the Porsche GT1 that conquered Le Mans in 1998. I mean, that's something even the modern day Rennsports don't have, is an engine slung out the back that has genuine outright Le Mans winning pedigree. It does bring me back to the point I made earlier about, on paper, this having 381 horsepower, which is the same as the Gen 2 GT3. Well, we've since learned that every single 996 Gt3 Rs that left the factory had, in fact, in excess of 400 horsepower. The reason the car was quoted at 381 horsepower is because there was a lot of costs to be incurred with homologating the car again with that tweaked engine. So although on paper every car is 381 horsepower, I can pretty much guarantee you that every 996 Gt3 Rs out there, even today, is still going to be knocking around the 400 horsepower mark. Fact. Married via a lightweight flywheel to a beautiful 6-speed gearbox, revised for the GT3 over standard Carreras, of course. It's a light throw, but not superficially light. And again, just adds to the wonderful mechanical feel of this Gt3 Rs. It really is the buzzword for this 911, isn't it? It's so mechanical and also incredibly communicative. So that's the story of the 996 Gt3 Rs. It's a funny one, isn't it, really? Misunderstood from the off. Its low numbers from the time when Porsche couldn't give the model away really now is one of its greatest assets from a collectability point of view. But that's beside the point. This is a fantastic driver's car, displays all of the key merits that make the 996 generation ever more revered among enthusiasts. Where does it sit in my all-time favourite Rennsports? Well, without a doubt, top 5. Top 3? Quite possibly. Subsequent generations, particularly the 997 Gen 2, is a real leap on in terms of downforce and also mechanical grip. And I think that's probably where the 996 could most do with improving. I'm sure history is going to be very kind to this model for the reasons I've outlined in this video, really. If you have one, congratulations, do not sell it. If you're thinking of getting one, now's the time.